Good morning. Today is March 6th, 2026. It is 11:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am Yahweh Elohim, Yahuwah, the Lord God of heaven and earth. So we are going to have some updates, some topicals. Just overall, we'll definitely try to keep it within the hour, and we'll mix in a little bit more practicals today. We can start out with the most unpractical of the day, which is, again, the Democratic Party. You know, I don't like the whole spinster attitude of the Democrats, because it irks me that there are times that you need to put aside your political preferences. There are instances where national security supersedes the personal interest of political parties. For Democrats to not be number one on board with eliminating the number one state sponsor of terror, known as the Iranian regime, the IRGC, in which the Persian people are and have been trying to create a revolution and uprising. So by countering the actual decapitation of Iran, denouncing that move is a sinister plot in itself, because that means that politician, Schumer and Hakeem and all of you other, lefties, you are putting your personal feelings and interest before your bosses, who are the American people, because you are spinning a narrative that is untrue. This is not even a war that President Trump has started. This is something that I, as Yahweh Elohim, the God on earth, spiritually started, because it needs to come to a head so it can be eliminated once and for all. If humans could understand the situation, I'll go back to a parable with the dog with rabies. If you've got 100 dogs in a compound, like let's say a shelter, and the parasite that causes rabies began infecting other dogs, first you would want to separate the dogs that have the rabies, one. And then if they're again untreated, then they needed to be euthanized for the greater good of the other 90 dogs. So you're saving 90 dogs by having to euthanize 9. Versus putting your own feelings out there, saying, well, I want to not euthanize the 9. Let's keep them together. Maybe that it'll clear up on its own. That's the Democratic mentality, that we should only play defense and at the worst time. And we should allow anybody into our country because, well, most of them are okay. Guys, that doesn't work that way. Evil doesn't remain contained into one heart, mind, body, or soul. Evil is an infectious disease, and it's very apparent from me as Elohim looking at society. I see the devil everywhere. I see sin everywhere, in everybody almost. And yet you're unable to look inward and see that. So this is what they, call like the temperature rising, right? As the boiling frog syndrome has continued over the last 80 years, this is what's happened. Is the sin has increased and increased, and people have just essentially adapted to it every year, every single decade for the last 70 to 80 decades. So now what looks normal to the day-to-day, even things like the commercials, even things like politicians, like all these things that are truly unrighteous, they're unsavory to me, or to heaven, or to my angels, or to just the way things are supposed to be. They are directly opposed to the kingdom and me. So, obviously it can't stand, but it's hard for humans that are remaining at that level, right? They're interacting with sin on a daily basis. They are doing these things and they think it's normal. It is only when you cease that behavior for a good amount of time, and then you begin looking inward, and then you can get the proper perspective to see the world through the eyes of being a righteous person. when you've adapted the actual mentality, the heart, the soul, the mind, the body, when you've united all of that into righteousness, but not human righteousness, godly righteousness. What do I say in the word, in the teaching, in whatever capacity you understand it? It is all about aligning yourself every opportunity you get to align yourself more in righteousness, more into me, more into the kingdom of heaven. Once everybody is truly aligned in those capacities, their paths are cleared, and then the future looks more certain versus remaining in sin, using the opinions of others. And remember, even your pastors, even your priests, your bishops, your rabbis, a lot of them too are self-inflicted sin, and that means that they can't see me for who I am. So they could be the most studious preacher, pastor, teacher, pope, whoever, right? Religious noun will remain blind to me so long as they have sin. And then if they are clear of sin and they, are in an arrogant state of mind, then they're still going to be blind unto me. They have to be first soft enough to receive the truth. Then they got to digest the truth. Then they have to essentially kind of get with the program, right? And it's very frustrating that the Democrats particularly are ardently against most of the things that are going to directly benefit the American people. And instead of even just, okay, don't agree, but stay neutral then. Just be quiet. Don't vote against things. Don't sit there and constantly and chronically go against the people who are trying to help the nation. And going against me, Elohim, who is trying to run and rule the nation the way I see the best outcome. Because they want to say, well, they don't know a reason why we're in Iran. Well, there are many, many reasons, but in short, in just the last few years, and this was one year in particular, it might have been 2020 or 2021, but over 8,000 events. And this was in like worldstatistics.org, so it was pretty credible, but 8,000 events in the year 2020 or 21. I don't have it up anymore, but over 8,000 events. Event was a terror attack where someone lost their life, and it didn't register events where it was just the terrorist who lost its life. So that means 8,000 events with victims or casualties. And over 20,000 innocent civilians / victims, 20,000 were died. They were murdered at the hands of terrorists. Terrorists that are operating and have been birthed from the Iranian regime that is in power. Understand this, Democrats, that the people who are running Iran right now are not the right people to be running Iran. This is essentially, if you want to look at it with the proper perspective of truth, and again, humans, your time is dilated, so it's very difficult for humans to even tell the truth, nonetheless know the truth. But let's say if Hamas was successful on October 7th, and they essentially invaded Israel, took over Jerusalem, put on the staffing uniforms of the IDF, began piloting the military, and then calling themselves Israel. Well, because we're very close with Israel, that would never happen, right? But back in 47 years ago, when this regime came into power, that is exactly what happened. They were a rebel group who were the minority of the time. They ended up overthrowing the king and its men and essentially put on the Iranian uniforms, recreated a flag, and they began a religious dictatorship. So for almost 50 years, the world has left Iran to manage itself. Meanwhile, the Iranian people have been under a sadistic dictatorship, which does not reflect their old republic democracy at all. And the people have been in suffrage for now 5 decades. This is a massive problem because, guys, the world is not that big. And Democrats, if you allow a terrorist regime to grow and to expand, then you shouldn't be shocked at 8,000 events in just 1 year and over 20,000 dead. And these are innocent bystanders, by the way. These are your Nancy Guthries, since how you all want to put it all over TV. Poor 80-something-year-old Nancy Guthrie. What about the poor 20,000 people that are dead? What about the names that are not brought up into the mainstream media that are dead at the hands of Islamic Jihad? What about them? Is their life not worth something? Or is only Nancy Guthrie's life worth something at 80-something years old? Because her daughter just so happens to be a news anchor. Human beings, you need to wake up. Smell the coffee. Hear my voice. Understand the things in which I tell you. Because if you give one half of, forgive my language, but if you give just a small shit, then it should be a very stark wake-up call. I am pointing out your wrongs and telling you to correct yourselves before it is too late. The writing is on the wall. Supporting things that go against the creation, meaning Democrats, stop with the transgender, stop with the crime. I'm sick and tired of hearing Democrat and Republican crime. Crime is crime. A bad person is a bad person. That doesn't mean that all bad people come from a party. Bad people are bad people. We need the bad people to go bye-bye. If they're murderous bad people like Islamic jihadists and other terrorists, they need to go bye-bye. Cartels need to go bye-bye. Because, folks, they are not the minority. And this planet is created, it is governed by Elohim. As the human side of the Almighty Creator, it is my job to identify issues, point to them, and have them taken care of so we can progress the great cleaning of the earth, the restoration of human sanity, and then I'll get to show you all how great this place can be and how great humans can be. But so long as Democrats are trying to say that they're painting all over this leftist news that the 6 soldiers that have died, let me tell you something. As a true patriot of America and a patriot of Israel, because I am its Elohim, but besides that, number one, when you enlist into the United States or the Israeli forces, a part of that contract means that you are putting your life on the line for your countrymen, for your men, women, and children, to protect them. Those 6 people signed the dotted line to protect the 20,000 victims that died. So you need to understand that. Those 20,000 innocent civilians that died in 20 or 21, every year, there should not have been ever one death from terrorists, but we are here now. The point I'm making is that 20,000 innocent bystanders, those are men, women, children, God forbid, literally. Like, I do forbid it, but it still happens. Why? Because there are cowards on my creation. There are rich cowards on my creation. There are political cowards on my creation. There are cowards who are so paralyzed and afraid of rejection by their fellow man if they start telling them righteousness, if they themselves dig too deep into their own hearts and souls, what they don't like what they find, right? And they could never operate at a capacity of shame at that level. Democrats, these are all you guys. The average kill count of a random terror attack is easily double, triple, in the hundreds of percents of innocent bystanders versus the 6 United States dead soldiers. Again, it does not in any way relieve the pain that those families are having due to their dead soldiers, but that is something that every family of the military has talked about, prepares for, and if the need arises, they are prepared to embrace that reality. You know who is not prepared to embrace those realities? The common everyday man or woman. They are trying to literally be good citizens, contribute to the community, support and raise a family, love each other, and do so within the safety of a good community. So when Democrats are easily saying that Americans don't want this war, they don't want a forever war, Well, if you continue to falsify stories and you continue to use political brainwashing to your people, then that is the response you're going to get. Like, the way you people abuse mass populations is, in my eyes, also a terrorist activity. It is. It is. There's no other way to put that. It absolutely is. But I'm going to take 5 here. And we are back. Alright, so the wife has her meeting going. Wanted to chat with her for a few minutes, but anyway. So yeah, you know, it's the spinsters on the left that are really driving me up the wall with this, because, you know, you're convincing large swaths of the American population. You are brainwashing them into thinking that this is an endless war, that this is pointless, that this is somehow Trump's. Guys, this has nothing to do with Trump. Trump is just the one who's executing it on my behalf. Same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu. So saith I, the Lord God Almighty. Benjamin Netanyahu is not to be arrested, nor is he to be imprisoned in any way. He is to be pardoned by my government. So says I, the Lord God, Yahweh Elohim, Yahuwah, the El Elyon. So this message better reach the high courts of Israel, and my word better be fulfilled. And I do not want to hear any more about it. Benjamin followed my voice, he followed my spirit. Whether or not he knows about me in the flesh is irrelevant, but those that are close to him or have access to him should not only notify him of who I am and that I'm here, but that he is more than pardoned. That man deserves more of an award, especially considering the secrets that he had to keep for national security, the tireless nights that him and his family have gone through and endured for the sake and sovereignty of Israel, on my behalf, by the way. So, moving on. Yeah. So again, Democrats, you know, you're really painting blood on the TV screen about 6 soldiers, and understand where they died. They died from the IRGC, that is the Iranian current regime, and they are a false nation. They are a false people. They are not following a true religion. They are not following any teachings of even peaceful religious figures that I, as true God, would even not care. I just want people to have, if you're going to have religion outside of praise, honor, and worship to the true Creator, that is I incarnate, but again, you don't need to praise and honor and worship my flesh. Please, it is the spirit that is you praise, honor, and worship. I am simply the actual being in the flesh. But again, I think of it as 100%. 100% of the Almighty is now funneled into that 10% of a human vessel, thus for my effectiveness working with humans. And then when I go home in heaven, I am still me, just not on earth. Back to my point here. I'll just go for my notes so I can move it along here. So the average kill count of random terror attacks is easily double, triple, quadruple, even more, in the hundreds percents. And those that are dying are innocent bystanders who are not enrolled in the military, nor should have an equal chance at being killed by terrorists. And neither should outpost personnel in non-combatant zones. So even the 6 dead soldiers, right, even though they are in the military, they were in non-combatant places, but to your understanding, the media should be covering the truth, which is the IRGC has already and has been having their ballistic missiles, potentially dirty nuclear warheads included. They are there. I've confirmed that as Elohim. They have dirty nukes, that they were waiting for the opportune time to hit Israel, to get one into America via boat, which is also another directive why President Trump is blowing up narco boats that he is. Because the intel from not only me as God, but passing that on to offices in the Fed, is that there are and has been several dirty bombs floating down in the South Caribbean, trying to be smuggled into the Americas for a terrorist attack. So, instead of damning President Trump and party We need to be truly standing behind the president, and I, as God, stand behind any man or woman willing to fight evil, and I am willing to clear all sins for the goodness and the better outcomes that this planet, this creation of mine, deserves. And Democrats, you are hurting our society. You're spinning this narrative. You're making it seem that there is no reason why we're there. Guys, we just had another terrorist attack. Why are the lives of innocent Americans not worth Congress's support in the war effort? I mean, truly. Why should innocent American civilians be even at any level of risk to Islamic Jihadist terrorists? Why? Why is that even on the table, guys? These are American citizens. These are the future inventors. These are the future. This is the future of the world. If it's going to succeed, and if it's going to live, thrive, prosper. And again, Democrats, by allowing evil to grow, you've allowed Iran to grow, regime after regime, or president after president. They did nothing about it. You've allowed it to spread. And then on top of that, you gave tolerance to it. You convinced your constituents for political gain to gain tolerance to wicked and to evil, because they would give you a vote. I sweareth, saith I the Lord, you are going to be tormented for your wicked and evilness that you have worked on people for personal gain. It is a great curse. You shall have no peace. And truly, you have then now brainwashed people to accepting Islamic Jihad. This is what Europe has done, and now Europe is literally just at the constant mercy of murderous idealization. And guess where this came from? This came from the left, the Democrat, right? The bleeding hearts. They're constantly trying to make everyone a victim. They went around painting every people, every culture, every nationality some type of victim that they can save. And they're so stupid they didn't realize that they just took the monsters, put a victim hat on, started parading them in the street. Meanwhile, the very people they're parading as victims literally are plotting to kill against them. And are, and all around the world. But human beings, Americans, live in a basically a very sheltered world. America lives a very sheltered life compared to the rest of the world. And I'm afraid that that peace on the homeland truly does create weak-minded people, and people that they have no even inclination, because they're that uneducated about what's going on, that they really do. They can just, pet every dog. Like I'm saying, you can't. You have to be careful. You cannot let in Islamic jihadists. You can't let in people who are just crossing the border. Like, there needs to be law and order. And it's just sad that the Democratic Party is so against law and order. Like, it's all about fraud. It's like politics is a game to the left. I can't even believe it. But truly, by allowing evil to grow, spread, and having tolerance for it, acceptance of it, you are dishonoring our troops and spitting in the face of real American victims of jihadist evil. And doing nothing is how we arrived at such a violent time in history. And the Democrats are playing political games while the soul of humanity is literally at stake. I call it a sham of a people and a shame as a political party, excusing evil with fan clubs worse than they are. And on that note, on that note, I'm happy Secretary Noem was released from her position. I will give a pat on the back to President Trump and party for identifying the issues and letting her go. I was greatly displeased with the behavior on and off the set of Secretary Noem. actions of unrighteousness are grounds for unfavorable outcomes. Any relations other than professional or in holy matrimony that are not considered holy, just, or otherwise approved by heaven, those types of acts are not permissible. Righteousness is the expectation in all capacities, all positions, from the highest to the lowest. That's a fact. Hearing the situation with Landowski, that is absolutely unacceptable, especially taunting that righteousness and justice and goodness is truly the way. I'm not a fan of that, and I am not a fan of the level of decorum that I've seen personally. I have, as God, I expect a certain level of piousness, especially from our great leaders. And when I see leaders that are operating at a low, not high-minded, very low-minded, right? Very low-brow, very selfish. I don't know the stipulations with the ad. I didn't care to check with President Trump, but I can tell you that I felt the same way. The ad seemed to be more teeing up an individual rather than the purpose and the cause. And I think as President Trump is getting with kind of the picture here, that he is understanding my message is more and more and more, and he's acting with more decisiveness but the right way, and that's where it is, right? We don't need, it's almost beneficial for not only Trump but the GOP in general is to let actions speak louder than words, right? When we're talking about passing bills, you want to be appealing to the left and to the right, and you don't even want to have a face associated with it. You want people to realize this is a good idea. You want people to have this aha moment where they're like, dang, man, that makes a lot of sense, right? You want a Democrat family sitting in their living room watching a commercial and they're just going, shoot, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That, I tell you, I like what that commercial said. I agree with what that said, right? And then you want those people, say, going on a website, and then they get to see that, oh wow, that was actually what, the president we can't stand, he just said something that made total sense to us. You see, that's how you flip the narrative, guys. You don't sit there and use the exact, I'm saying, if Democrats are just, I heard the term on Newsmax, but they were saying, if the Democrats are out to scalp someone, right, you're just crapping all over your cause the moment you're associating individual identity into those causes. You see, even I as Elohim stand back from my law, from my commandments, from what I teach, because I want people to look at that objectively and go, okay, that is just the right thing to do. God or no God, that's the right thing to do. And it's a benefit because maybe I don't even believe in God, but I mean, let's just say that I am a normal functioning human being and I understand that right and there is wrong. If you do right, you get rewarded in life and then you get rewarded afterwards. If you do wrong, you're going to have a rough life, a short life, and no afterlife. The best case scenario for bad actors on the creation really is a recycle, right? Or if they can't go back into a recycle for whatever reason, then they do get to go into a spiritual penitentiary to work out those issues that they can. And then when they do work out those issues, they become moldable and manageable, and then they get sorted again. So there's an entire process, and this process has existed since before Jesus, since before Moses, since before the gods of Babylon. Guys, these things, the operation of souls and spirits and human operations versus the kingdom of heaven operations, have existed many, 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 many billions of years before your current time. But the exciting thing is, for Elohim, for myself, is to see that through the crumbling of nations and the rebuilding of nations, every time they have rebuilt, they've come up a little higher. and they've fallen. Every time they go up, they come up a little higher, and they fall. And now we are at a point, which is why I'm here. Now we are at a point where it's like you're going to build, but now we got to tear down. But what we're going to do is we're going to save the top here. Not top people by money, but top people by the righteousness. By, at minimum, are they going to be able to walk, respect the creation, know the Creator, and are they going to be able to walk out biblical principles on a daily basis? Is that who they want to become? Those people are what's called the cream, right? The cream is going to stay. And then when everything falls, the cream will remain. The righteous will remain. They will be given prominence, dominance over the entire creation. And therefore, unrighteousness is not allowed. It will cease to be a currency. People will not make money on raunchy movies. They will fail. There'll be money pits that they can never reap money out of it because the people are changing and are going to continue to change. Any businesses that get on board with righteousness and piousness for entertainment is going to be a winner. Anybody who gets on board with that in the financial sector is going to be a winner. People that get on board with getting away from your personal opinions about people. Guys, identity politics is dangerous, it's deadly, it's stupid, and it leads to dogma. You should be able to be in the same breath, look at something good. Okay, President Trump, congratulations, you did this good. That's a good thing, right? If someone does a good thing, we want to congratulate them on a good thing. We do not want, when someone does something good, just because of who they are, that we poo-poo them. That's stupid. That's stupid. And remember, everybody in this game of mine, you really do. You get to pick your own roles, people. So I know a lot of Christians are waiting for something to happen. A lot of Jews are waiting for something to happen. I, as Elohim, am telling you all, I'm making it happen single-handedly. And you all get to choose the role you're going to be in. Right? Is Rabbi Singer going to be Nicodemus or not? Right? Are my church leaders, are they going to be footnotes in history, or are they going to be a John? But for me, you see, everyone gets to choose who and what they want to be in this story. If you want to be, on my side, trust me, there are many positions to be filled. Ask in prayer, and I shall give you freely everything I can to help the mission. What's the mission? The mission is the kingdom is real. God himself is real. He actually deals with the earth. How? Through laws, through the commandments, through the things that he gave out to Moshe. Like I'm saying, you can formulate that whatever you want, but we want to save everybody. What does that mean? That means educate them on sin. Teach them not to do bad things. Teach them to, if you're in a position of unrighteousness, you need to come out of it. If you're unable to come out of it, then you need to teach those people that you're forced to live with in unrighteousness, teach them righteousness, right? If you fail or they can't receive you, shake it off your feet and just move on, guys. You just go to the next house. You go to the next one. I'm saying if that's your mission. But everybody in purpose will never be they will never be in a sinful, proclivity. Yeah. So again, I think Mark Wayne, Asher, I thought that was his first and last name. I had to remind her. I said, no, actually, that's his first name, Mark Wayne. Anyway, I think he'll be a good fit. And again, I'm glad that PT had that lined up. I do think that not only is Epic Fury underway, it is doing fantastic. This is long overdue, and truly standing ovation for the administration, because this is the number one biggest agenda item I as Elohim have. This is my big one. This is truly where once we can break the spirits of Satan, we essentially rid the world of these demons. I mean, guys, their lack of a better term, there is no other better term, because they are demon incarnate. They're the spirits of the giants, right? They have natural hatred towards Christians and Jews. Why would they have natural hatreds towards Christians and Jews? Because I am your Elohim. I am the Lord your righteousness. And that means that, like water and oil, right? The oil and the water can't mix. If they do, it gets nasty. It's bad. Righteous and the evil, they don't mix. They clash. So when you have Israel here, for the most part, trying to be righteous, and that oil, it's parabolic, but it's symbolic too. All that oil is surrounding Israel. That's like the demon infestation, right? And Israel's just standing here alone. Guys, America is the one that's coming over here backing Israel up so Israel's not taken out. Because the talk really should be what would have happened if essentially an Iranian proxy took over Israel and now was occupying it. That would have been worst case scenario for the Western world, guys. That could have been the downhill of the Western world, and all of you have taken these things so lightly. This is what, forgive my language, but this is what pisses me off, is you are all taking so many maneuvers of grace, maneuvers of like what should have, could have, and would have happened if not for the hand of God, like auto-correcting that, so worst case scenarios continue to evade the world, but you're taking it like lightly, and that's upsetting. That's upsetting. It's upsetting. And the new Ayatollah, it'll just be another nameless grave. We are not going to accept another Ayatollah. We're not accepting religious leaders. We're not even accepting kings. I agree with President Trump, or rather President Trump agrees with me, finally. Prince Pahlave, at minimum, should be a transitional figure, and I believe that with an escort of the United and Israel military, we will be able to do that, and it will be not only satisfiable to the international community, but it is literally going to set up an entirely new NATO type of alliance. So, understand something. There is no more murder regimes. There is no more jihad. Nor no more jihadist supporters. There's no more terrorist supporters. That covers cartels. That covers jihad. That covers the Congo cartels. That covers every inch of the creation. If you're selling drugs, you're on the naughty list. If you're trying to murder people, you're on the naughty list. If you are committing sin, you are on the naughty list. The naughty list is actively being worked on, spiritually and physically. These people are being removed from the creation. And allies, understand, these jihadists and their supporters, they are sick, sadistic, and there is no place in a free, democratic world. They're not allowed here. They're not allowed in Israel. And any land that is a part of our pact after the Iranian war, because allies, I will remember who has backed the United States, and I will know who was a coward. That goes for those in office too. All the Democrats that are in objection to something that is comparable, if not greater, than World War II. Understand something. The level of importance this is equal to, if not greater, than defeating Hitler and his Nazis. And it is absolutely unspeakable, despicable, what the Democrats are trying to stop. That is the equivalent to the Democrats in World War II saying, we're not going to go help the Jews in Nazi Germany. We don't give a shit. Let them kill them. That's how damn racist the Democratic Party is. And they literally would rather see minorities and sufferers become bait. That's all they are, is they're little bait for the Democrats to wield in big voter hauls. Disgusting. Disgusting. But allies, NATO's future and NATO's future alliances are going to be determined by the participation and the reaction to the war as it stands today. And understand something. I, as God Almighty, Yahweh Elohim in the flesh, Yahuwah, I am directing President Trump that after this war, if Europe continues to honestly want to even be our friend, then it's apparent that we would have a lot more protecting to do for Europe allies, because you're not actually considered an ally right now. You're actually considered a nobody, because you're not backing up the United States' play. Instead, you're trying to act like the pathetic Democratic Party. And guess what? After the Iran war, they're going to be an ally. Israel's going to be an ally. Guess who's also going to be allies? The Gulf states that have helped participate in extinguishing evil. Guess who's not going to be an ally? European NATO states who have set back, bitched and moaned and complained and been opposed to every act that has went against evil. You're not going to be a part of NATO. In fact, you're going to be the next Ukraine if you don't hang on to your relationship with the United States. Believe that. Because if you think that Putin and Xi are not about to enter into the war, you have another thing coming. This has only just begun, but after the smoke clears in X time, the entire world order will be reshuffled, and America and me as its Elohim will be at the top of the pile. That's a promise. So, have a happy Friday. I hope everybody is safe, truly. Stay safe, stay reserved. The Spirit constantly sending it out to all those who are asking. And in the flesh, I'm dealing with carnality things, but all things of a good nature. So we will keep you posted on that. But truly, everybody, I hope you have good services tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Guys, let's not let political, our political identities make us accept or deny stuff, right? We don't. As free-thinking people, you are able to dissect a situation, use your brain to say, hey, is this good? Is this what my God would like or not? And that's what these videos are for, right? If you go, well, what would my God think about this? Why don't you watch the video? I'm sure I've done a video on it. If you're questions about heaven, questions about hell, questions about salvation, questions about war, how I rule, how I don't, how I reign, how I do, whatever. All those things are in videos. And then one day, the troops, meaning like the churches, the real churches that are going to come out of this smelling good, you guys are going to have a fun job, right? Imagine being a full-time scribe, taking the videos, putting them into Word, and then basically having edit sessions with me. And then we'll create the Third Testament. Alright. It's about 12. Yeah. Alright, I think that's everything. If not, oh well. I don't think I'm going to see you Monday. I have plans. I have something to do Monday. Maybe Monday afternoon. Maybe not. I don't know. Looking more like Tuesday. So we'll see. Again, let's get out there. Let's get some good stuff going. If you're not in a uniform, please do not hurt anybody. If you're not in a military fight, please do not hurt anybody. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Thank you.